Greater Manchester is commonly known for being a capital of crime, with over 150,000 cases of crime recorded last year, from burglaries to distribution of drugs and possession of deadly weapons. We look into the why behind these individuals, why they commit crimes, their motivations, and of course where it all starts. Walking through different areas in Greater Manchester, such as Newton Heath, Moston, Rochdale and Oldham, I was lucky to be able to get in contact with a past offender of crime, who happened to be in the age bracket of 16 to 21. I went to meet this anonymous offender to find out his views. Unfortunately, the individual couldn't make a meeting with me in person, so I contacted him by phone.
Is it alright if we can do an interview now, mate?
Yeah.
Right, I'll start off with, what made you get into crime?
Well, fucking pretty much, because obviously there's no workout, is there? And if you know people, it's either to get in, it's either to get a foothold, like it's either to get old or something to sell. But it's a faster way of making cash as well.
What are your views on crime?
Well, end of the day, everyone does it, don't they? No matter way. Crime, crime is hard to explain because there's so many different types of it. You know what I mean?
After speaking to an offender, I then thought it was time to find a victim who was able to speak out about their personal experience with crime. I got in contact with Baz Connolly, a presenter at North Manchester radio station, who recently became a victim of assault.
Yeah, my first experience with crime, well, not my first one, the last one was actually I was attacked and physically attacked and mugged. Been out for a few drinks, got out of a taxi, decided to walk the rest of the way. Next thing you know, I was attacked, robbed of all my personal belongings, my money, obviously my glasses was broken, so it was very frightening indeed. Well, my views on the police was when it was reported, it seems as if you have this situation every day of their working life, people coming saying they've been attacked, they've been robbed, they've been whatever and all that, but it was very sympathetic, I must agree on that point, and also they did try to, they told me exactly what they was doing, who they was going to look into, they was looking at CCTV cameras nearby where I was attacked, and he was going around asking people if you seen anything like that. So it seemed like they was concerned in a way, but it was kind of like, yeah, it's just another one sort of thing. We'll go through it and see what happens. But yeah, I was quite pleased with what they was doing.
We were fortunate to attend a local neighbourhood meeting, where police officers and PCSOs were giving advice and support to members of the community. We then went on to interview a police officer who had just finished a crime prevention speech to members of the meeting.
There's two theories on that, and obviously there's yeah and no. From my personal point of view, yes, I do. I think it is a bit soft. However, I did recently have an input from a judge and members of a jury who believe that reducing sentences and educating people is better for the reoffending. So for example, they go into prison mixed with a load of people who already have similar minds, and it doesn't really stop them from committing crime because they're in prison. It just escalates the situation for them. Whereas if you take them out of that situation, educate them, it prevents them from doing crime. So there's two ways to look at it. I personally think harsher sentences would be better, but I'm a bit biased. Age group, well, you get a broad spectrum, it depends on the offence. They do say, I think the statistic's something like that, 5% of people commit 85% of the crime in this area. So it's a very few people that we deal with. We deal with regular people on a regular basis. So you get from anything, obviously the legal age of criminality is 10, and then that's right up to any age then really, there's not really a specific age group. I've been a police officer nearly 10 years, but obviously before that I've been involved in things where I've been a witness to crime, and obviously I've been a victim of crime myself where I've had to go to court. so a little bit before that as well.
After the crime prevention meeting, I then got in touch with my contact in Rochdale, who was then able to take me to a police cadet training facility, where I was then able to speak with the young cadets during their training exercise.
So, how did you get involved in the police cadet programme?
I first found out through college, it was advertised. I thought, I'd always had an interest in the police, and I knew that if I ever got an opportunity that I'd like to do it. So I found this opportunity and I took the opportunity.
So, what are your views on youth crime?
I feel that most youth crime is committed because gangs and, lots of different people have been brought together and they're kind of being pushed or pressured into doing it, but I do think it's something that needs to be stopped, and it's not clever people that do it, and it should stop.
What is the most popular crime you come across?
It's pretty much seasonal really in relation to crime. If we're looking at winter time, it could be burglaries, for instance. If it's during the winter months, longer, darker hours, so we may get an increase in burglaries because people may not leave the lights on when they're going out, so when people come, they'll see that there's no one in. Likewise, it could be like burglaries in the summertime really as well. If in the summertime people leave the doors open, people may be a bit more lax because they'll be out in the garden, leave the front doors to let some ventilation into the house, so we can have an increase on burglaries. In relation to robberies and stuff like that, it may be a case of that the people in, like, for instance, universities and colleges, there'll be a lot of people walking around, so that'll be an increase. At night time as well, nighttime and nightclubs, we might get an increase of assaults. So it can vary in different times in relation to different crimes, really, for that.
Pretty much most types, I would imagine. In the time that I've been in the police, I've done different roles, so therefore covered everything from basic shoplifting through to murders, rapes, armed robberies. So pretty much every type, I'd imagine.
It depends when you're arresting an offender. If you identify an offender, there's numerous ways what you can really do with them. Depending on powers we can arrest someone and take them to the police station where they'll get interviewed. But now it's the emphasis on do we need to be bringing people into custody now? Can we arrange for an interview to be done at the police station? They still get the same rights in relation to a solicitor and stuff like that, but they just don't get arrested and taken to a police station.
Victim support actually improved massively over the last 5 to 10 years. There's so much support out there for them now. Initially, from any crime when it occurs, the victim is offered, first of all, the police support. As officers, we're there to help them through the investigation and the aftermath of the crime, all the way through to court and afterwards. And then we've got independent agencies such as victim support, and then there's also other independent agencies that we can also refer them to, such as domestic abuse counselling, the Samaritans, and a whole host of other organisations out there who are purely dedicated to helping various victims from different crimes.
The only advice I can give is report it. At first I wasn't going to report it to the police. I just thought, what can he do? You never get caught anyway, which like high percentage of people don't get caught. But by doing that, if they did get caught, you could persuade them not to attack other people in the future. And by not attacking other people in the future, that could save one person from being physically attacked and robbed. Well, it's well worth it. So I advise people just to report it.
Back at Rochdale Police Station, we had the chance to speak to a response police officer and a PCSO.
Not necessarily, no. It's like I was telling one of your colleagues earlier. I've been in youth work for 12 years before I started this job, where I used to deal with top of the triangle young people between 13 and 19 years old, trying to get them back into training, education or employment. And with this job it's very similar, looking at all the underlying issues. I do believe that if you can educate young people into doing positive things with their lifestyles, then you can actually turn around a young person from being an offender to being a normal, civilised person.
I think there is a link between poverty and crime, but I think it would be very wrong to say that it increases it. I think a lot of it is to do with parenting and behaviour of that child. I know a lot of young people who've grown up in some quite tough times and tough areas who've turned out to be very well behaved model citizens, but there is without doubt a link between the two, because unfortunately sometimes when people are struggling they do turn to crime.
Good evening. There have been violent disturbances across the northwest this evening in both Manchester and Salford. Riot police have been in running battles with groups of youths. Shops have been set on fire, windows smashed, and there have been sporadic looting.
Do you think people brought up in poverty have a higher chance of getting into crime?
Yeah, better, a lot. Because obviously there's no money and you're not getting nothing and you want to. If you see other people walking about and design again, that's what you want, so obviously you go out your way, you do what you got to do to get that money, you know, don't you?
Can you give me a few examples of some of the things you've done?
Like obviously I sold heroin and crack cocaine around around my areas, sold bikes.
What advice would you give to those who are trying to get out of crime?
Take yourself out of the place you're at. Like whatever state or whatever area you're in, just get yourself out of there, go somewhere else, go to your nana's or just get out of the area and just like lay low there and think hard about what you want. Let's say if you're 16 to 19, try to get yourself back in college and that, like I did. Obviously I've got my head straight now and it's a better path to go